Hi, comic book fans. Here's another installment of North Central PA's comic book column brought to you by Brett Crosley, the writer and contributor for the column. Without further ado, let's get into this month's column and start talking about the things that I'm interested in comics and what I think would be good for the fans in our area. First off, I do want to say at the beginning of last month, I went and visited Isla Comics, who hosted Free Comic Book Day in their Comic Con in their parking lot. This was a big, refreshing breath of fresh air that they were able to host this thing. It was originally supposed to be at the Genetti, and because of restrictions and how many people they could have at the event, they moved it over to their parking lot. And the big reason why I point this out is I just wanted to take a moment and really point out how well they executed this event. The parking lot was surrounded with vendors that you could get stuff from, and then they even limited the number of people that could go into the comic book store, which I think was a big plus for everybody. They handed out a lot of free comics, and it was a lot of fun. And I want to give a shout out to mom and son combo that I saw there that were dressed as Mario and Luigi. That completely made my day. It'll be part of the written column, and it'll be on North Central PA when the column runs this weekend. But to get back to the comic book side of things, let's start diving in on what I've been reading and the recommendations I have for you guys. The first one, and I do have props this time, is this just came out. We talked about this one earlier in the series. I think Curse of Carnage Scream was maybe out one or two issues when we first talked about it. But the reason that I bring this back in is, one, I really like the series. The series revolves around a young lady named Andy Benton, who's basically been abandoned by family, friends, everybody. Finds a symbiote, Scream, that ends up merging with her. Without going into the history of it too much, the Scream symbiote's been around a while, but this is her first full-fledged series on her own. It's really been a great read. It's really about family. There's a lot of special guest appearances by comic book other people from other comic books that I think will be a treat to the reader. The other reason I bring this up is because of the pandemic. They actually stopped this series after the fifth issue, the sixth issue, and they weren't going to do a seventh issue until they brought about one in digital format. The sixth issue is currently available in the digital format, but in the trade paperback that I showed you guys, they actually just re-released the issue in its hard copy form. This is kind of a treat, and it's kind of fun because I don't buy digital comics. I like the hard copy stuff. So this was really cool that Marvel made an effort to bring this issue to people who read the hard comics. And teasing a little bit and some stuff that's not mentioned in the column. It is kind of a cool crossover the way the story is going, and Punisher and Sandman are brought into it. So it's kind of cool to see characters that I think readers will be a little more familiar with brought into this series. So the next thing I want to talk about, you got more props for us? The Horizon Zero Dawn comic series that's just started by Titan Comics. The reason I bring this up is I actually just finished the video game. I thought it was a really cool experience on the video game, but without talking too much about that, the comic just released last month, and it really is a deeper look into this universe. And I think I think it's really cool for somebody who maybe didn't even play the video game. This is a legitimate tie-in. This is a really, really cool comic. It comes on nice, hard, I don't know if you guys will be able to see it from here, but nice hard papers. The artwork is absolutely outstanding. And it's really cool to see a lot of these companies tie in with video games. We talked about God of War last month, and how Dark Horse did a series on it. And I thought that was really exceptional. But I think companies are really trying to link up together with these video games and give fans of both mediums a lot of back information and fulfilling these stories. This is a special variant edition of the second issue in the series, and fans of the video game, if you can see it all, will absolutely be mesmerized by this. This is the lead character from the video game, and this is the actual cover from the main video game that you can see in here. Again, I hope you guys can see some of the illustrations, how glossy the page work is. This isn't a typical comic, and you can really see that Titan went above and beyond trying to make this appeal for the fans. Here's the first issue with Aloy right there for you. And then another cool thing that they did was right after they released the first issue, here's your free comic book day issue. That is just a little tie into the story. Going with the lead that I was talking about with this video, that was another thing that was given out by the comic book store, by Isle of Comics in South Williamsport, was free comic books, and this is definitely a good one to pick up. The next comic I'm going to talk about, and I'm not sure how many people are familiar with this one. This is one of my favorite crossovers of all time. If you listened to the video or read the column last month, you know I'm a big Alien Predator fan. So I brought a good crossover. This is Archie versus the Predator. And yep, that's exactly what it sounds. This comic is completely over the top. There's actually a sequel that maybe if I can read it before next month, we can talk about it. This is as good as it gets here. Comic crossovers. I do say in the column, if you're an Archie fan thinking that this is going to be something where we bring the Predator in and Archie him up and make it nonviolent, that they did not go this way. Archie Comics completely went with Dark Horse, and this is a Dark Horse dark story that's gritty and violent and a lot of fun for readers. I don't want to give too much away, but that's one of your best parts right there. Predator and Jughead have a very epic moment together in the comic book, and I highly recommend it. It's a lot of fun reading. So we went through the comics, we went through the column. Now let's go on to my recommended reading. We already touched on the Horizon Zero Dawn comics. I think that's going to be my first recommendation for this month. I really suggest people check them out right now. I think they're going for about $3.99 for the first and second issues. But like I said, really a quality comic book from the makeup, the page material, the artwork, and everything. Second, and I don't have a prop here for you, but is Venom 26. Continuing on with what's going on with Venom, I'm going to pump that comic because it's my favorite one currently running. The second or the next recommendation is Savage Avengers released their second trade paperback edition. This is big too because this is going to be like the Scream, where what Marvel's doing is they're trying to incorporate lost issues into these trade paperbacks. So they're expanding it for people and giving you a reason to buy the trade paperbacks. My last recommendation, I do have a prop for, and if I can get it out, it is the Wolverine Giant Omnibus. This book is absolutely humongous. There's my thumb just so you can see the size of it. This is everything. This is all the first Wolverine comics. So if you want a good history of who Wolverine is, one of Marvel's most iconic characters, this is going to give you all the background information. But just be warned, I talked about the Deadpool Beginnings Omnibus last month. This isn't going to be the Wolverine we all know and love from the movie theaters. This is the actual history of how he became that character. All the first appearances, all the first crossovers, and his first own miniseries are all within here. So that's my recommendations for reading for the month. I want you guys to continue to read the comic book column. We'll be out next month and have a whole list of new reading recommendations. If you want to hit me up on my email, give me some reading recommendations. It's brettc@NorthcentralPa.com. Well, thank you guys for tuning in. I really appreciate it. And that's all. And then we'll see you next month.